Hi, I'm Catherine, the creator of Shia and the Jetsons Community Preservation of the Promised Land. I want to thank every one of my subscribers that have been sending out the poster magazines to the criminals that need to know that they're standing on our 640 acres. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for your support. Thank you so much, and continue to send it to them. It's NBCUniversal.com, and it's Viacom and Comcast. Those are the ones who put Biden and them in office, and those are the ones that drink the adrenochrome, all that. Those are the real ones that removed us from our homes and our lands. Okay, but I want you to focus your attention on something. This man here, okay, we're going to talk about the Larry Hoover situation. The Larry Hoover situation is the same people in the Bible are the same people of Larry Hoover, the 12 disciples and all that. Because you have a King David in there. See, I'm not religious by any means. No, I'm not. My father's an atheist. We couldn't even say the word Jesus in our house. We couldn't say that. So so I'm not coming in a spiritual sense. I'm just letting you know that they know who we are. They know who we are. So if they know, and now who are we? Okay, well, I'm just going to let you know that the same people in that Bible is the same people of Larry Hoover. When you look at the story of Larry Hoover, you will understand that they must have did some remote viewing or something, or have some psychic power to put predictions in this book and then it come true. Because Larry Hoover, okay, I'll tell you if you guys know about it. Don Dirk would be King Solomon, because King David appointed him to be the writer of all things. I had to do a study on who King David was in the Bible. I had to do some research like yesterday to see, like, wait, how the hell? So basically, there's a King David in Larry Hoover's situation. That's the real King David. There is a king. And then he died, and then King Solomon, which is Don Dirk. So when you see the story of Don Dirk, so let's just start with this one right here. But let me just get this out. This is a lawyer. He's a lawyer, and he's just, telling the story about Larry Hoover. Okay. Well, he has to actually. We want to get a hold of him. Show this video to this man. What we're saying to him is, we need you to get all of your attorneys together and say exactly the absolute truth. And that's all you got to do. Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And we want you to help, do this. And what we need you to do is to publicly announce the situation of Larry Hoover and who you are and who we are. That we're indigenous, and that the criminals that locked up Larry Hoover are actual criminals. The court judge, the prosecuting, those are the criminals that know exactly who we are. And they locked us up and put us in prison and suck up our blood and adrenochrome and all this shit because they know who we are. Okay, so you have to tell the truth. When a lawyer speaks from now on, he can't be a coon or a coward, and he can't be humble when he comes. He has to be angry. You an attorney, man, you got to be angry when you come and you present yourself, and you got to come in the Black Law Dictionary, okay? And you have to, the 6th edition, and you got to come with discovery. You got to say, I discovered, according to the I just discovered something. I discovered that I am indigenous to this land, and you have to base it on the discovery that you discovered. Anything that you discover, land, if you discover that you've been taken over, then you have to present this in law that I'm going to have a hearing in court. I'm going to have a public hearing in court on the basis of discovery. And what did you discover? What did you discover? You discovered that you are indigenous to this land, and that the people that locked you up are not. And that they came here on Paul Revere's bloodline, where Paul Revere are criminals. You have to tell and I'm coming to you not humble, but I'm coming to you angry, because I just discovered that we have been under mass manipulation and genocide. We've been genocided out this whole
From its
time.
positive impact.
We've been genocided out this whole time.
If you listen to Kanye.
Okay, we've been genocided out this whole time, and you guys are the ones who've been murdering us. And we only come to you with truth and nothing but the truth. So help you, God. You know what I mean? Because we're the God. So help us, God. You know what I mean? Because we're the guys that's helping ourselves get to the promised land based on truth. You don't need no documentation. You don't need no papers. You don't need no paperwork, no status. No, you don't. You can show it because you have it. And the only reason why I tell you to go under ancestry.com, not about the DNA, I'm talking about build your family tree and then print out the paper. Just build it up that, you know, this is where your great-great-grandparents is from, and then print out that paper, and that's it. And that's just for you. That's not for them. That you don't have to show no police officer, nothing like that. No. That's for you to know, so that when you do meet face-to-face with this police officer that's going to pull you over or not going to pull you over, you let them know angrily. You're angry. Don't you ever say no shit like to me. I am indigenous to my own land. 640 acres is mine. You standing on. You're not indigenous here. You're not from here. You came on Paul Revere's bloodline. Just say Paul Revere, because they vilify him. And when they vilify him, then we got him. Because it's like, oh, good. You know who I'm talking about. Okay, so he was the lookout. The British are coming. The British coming. What was he the lookout for? Why was he running from the British? Why was he trying to hide from the British? Because every single white race here was supposed to have been executed and murdered right here. The Blackmores and the British were supposed to execute these founding fathers. They were supposed to murder them. Look at my other video. You will see our great-great-grandparents from Choctaw. And let me see. So Larry Hoover's from Mississippi. He's Choctaw Nation. That's my father on my father's side, Choctaw Nation. Then they go up from Mississippi to Chicago. That's where my mother is at. No, Larry Hoover is from Chicago or something. Or is he from Mississippi? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Wherever we're from in the United States, just trust me, we are indigenous and you have proof. They know, the point is this, they know that who we are. They know that we're indigenous. So we're coming to them to shame them, to say, shame on you. Shame on you that you know, and we had to discover this just now. And so what it has to happen is this.
In West New
Just look at this right here.
album Donda, one of the most impactful moments is an impassioned address by Larry Hoover Jr. about his father, Larry Hoover Sr. Now, if you don't know who Larry Hoover is, you might remember his name from one of the hardest hooks of 2010 when Rick Ross bragged, "I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover. I'm blowing money fast." And man, that track went in the club, but I digress. So what's the deal with Larry Hoover? Why is he in prison, and why hasn't he been released? Well, let's dive into it. My name is Jamal Kersey, and I'm a criminal defense attorney in San Diego, California. And in this video, we're talking Larry Hoover, Kim and Kanye's trips to the White House, and federal criminal reform. Larry Hoover Sr. is famously known as the founder of the Chicago street gang known as the Gangster Disciples. In 1973, Larry Hoover was sentenced to 150 to 200 years for ordering the murder of William Pookie Young, who had apparently stolen money and drugs from Hoover's gang. While in prison, Hoover was said to have run his gang's drug trade both behind the prison walls and on the streets. His reach started in Chicago and eventually expanded to other states. In early 1993, after 20 years of being locked down, Hoover claimed his criminal past was behind him and became a man of urban political influence in Chicago. Hoover's Gangster Disciples had began organizing community cleanups, charity events, and peaceful protests against the closing of public programs. One of his attorneys stated, Hoover saw the death, the destruction, the prisons filling up with young people. He wanted to move the Gangster Disciples into something constructive. Hoover announced that the initials GD had changed to mean growth and development. Growth and development created nonprofit organizations that registered voters, supplied food to the needy, ran a music label that helped underprivileged children, and even created a clothing line. Hoover gained community support from his positive impact on the community. Friends and allies lobbied to get Hoover paroled for his contributions to society. Meanwhile, the feds had been investigating Hoover. In fact, the investigation went on for years. One of the agents' tactics was placing recording devices on the visitors' badges of associates who went to see Hoover. Based on evidence from recorded conversations, Hoover was indicted for drug conspiracy, extortion, and running gangster disciples from prison. This was no small organization. Prosecutors alleged the gangster disciples had grown to over 30,000 members and generated $100 million a year. Informants reported that Hoover's nonprofit organizations were fronts for laundering drug money. Gangster disciple members testified that none of the proceeds for any of the so-called charities actually went to helping anyone in need. Hoover went to trial in this case. He was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to 6 life sentences. Criminal justice reform was on the minds of advocates for years. The election of Donald Trump, who took a tough-on-crime stance and called himself the law and order candidate, gave little hope that any deal could be done. Nonetheless, you had Black Lives Matter activists and Tea Party conservatives alike pushing for reform. It's said that the real turning point came when Kim Kardashian West had a meeting with President Trump regarding Alice Johnson, a woman who was sentenced to life in prison without parole for a non-violent drug trafficking case. Under the Constitution, the president has the authority to commute or reduce sentences for federal criminal convictions. Commutation is usually earned based on good behavior and reformation. Just a month after meeting with Kardashian West, President Trump commuted Ms. Johnson's sentence. Months of bipartisan advocacy followed, leading to Trump publicly supporting the reform bill, saying it included reasonable sentencing reforms while keeping dangerous and violent criminals off of our streets. President Trump eventually signed the First Step Act into law. The law would go on to reduce sentences for crack cocaine-related convictions. Thousands of federal prisoners would see earlier releases. It would also set up programs designed to help the formerly incarcerated adapt to life after prison. The law would give judges more discretion in sentencing decisions, amongst other benefits. So really it was a step in the right direction. Kanye West also met with President Trump. He talked about a number of issues during the conversation, including his request for the president to commute Larry Hoover's sentence. In his plea, he said the reason why the feds went after Hoover is because he started doing positive things in the community, which is a position taken by many of Hoover's supporters. Kanye felt an obligation to free Hoover because of the positive things he was doing in Chicago. President Trump did not commute Hoover's sentence, but by signing the First Step Act, Hoover was given an opportunity to make a request for a new sentencing hearing. Hoover's lawyers filed the paperwork in hopes that he would soon be released from federal custody. Any such decision would be at the discretion of the court. In July of this year, a U.S. district judge denied his request, saying Hoover is one of the most notorious criminals in Illinois history, and he'd be concerned about an active risk of harm if Hoover were freed. This was devastating news for Hoover, his legal team, and his family. And so closing out the track on Kanye's Jesus Lord, we hear Larry Hoover Jr. thanking Kanye for his efforts. It was obviously a big deal for Kanye to go to the White House to advocate for his father. He describes feeling like with his father in prison, he and his whole family have been incarcerated, even though they've never been to jail. He notes that the conditions of this capitalist society are what made his father, but said his father is nonetheless a beacon of hope for the community before finally pleading, "Free my father, Mr. Larry Hoover Sr." As a black man who grew up in the neighborhood and now a defense attorney, I understand firsthand the conditions that lead so many young black men astray. Oftentimes a trap seems unavoidable, and my heart goes out to all the families who lost sons in the struggle. Well, we've reached the end. I hope you found this video.
Okay, here it is. He has to stop talking. This lawyer, that's a lawyer. That black man is a lawyer. The Negro man, I don't like to say black man. He have to, listen, he has to switch his whole talking, his whole view of things. He got to switch it and tell the truth. And this is why we are dying, because he is sitting up here not saying what he's supposed to say. That the prosecuting attorney, the court judge that said that Larry Hoover can't get out, and that's the criminal. That's the criminal. This lawyer here, you have to get this video to him. What's his name? When he said his name. Hi, sir. Listen, you have to, if this video got to you, You have to switch your language. You are attorney. You have to get other attorneys that are like you to understand that the prosecuting attorney, the court judge that sentenced Hoover and then denied his access of freedom is the criminal. They know who we are. Do you understand? So you can be a law attorney, a criminal law attorney, but you have to switch your criminal law attorney against the one that's your enemy. The one that says that they're the court judge, that's your enemy. And you have to address them not in a humble way that they keep telling you to come humble. Nah, you don't come humble. You're angry because you just discovered some shit. And in the Black Law Dictionary that I just showed you, you have to put it to them that you discovered that you're indigenous and they're not. And they came here on Paul Revere's bloodline as criminals. And they have no right to lock up Larry Hoover or even get into his neighborhood. No white cop. This is what you have to say, sir. No white cop, Arab, Mexican cop, supposed to come into a Negro's neighborhood and involve in themselves in our lives when you are not our race. You came here as criminals. You were supposed to be executed here by the Black and British Moors. Your forefathers were supposed to be executed. So how the hell are you going to be in office when you're supposed to have been dead? You understand? Every single Negro lawyer in this country have to talk like that from now on. You have to stand on your principle. You don't need paperwork no more. You don't need no status. You don't need no status, papership. You don't need that. You need to stand on that they know who you are. See, you have to say, listen, sir, this black man right here, this Negro man right here that just talked, I don't like to say black. He have to say to any court judge, to anybody, I just discovered that I'm indigenous. And I'm coming here actually angry because you people know that I'm indigenous. And he have to have at least 30 men like him that have to stand. And you got to stand. This is how you get to the promised land, because you can't be humble coming to court. I humble myself to you. That's what they want you to do. Can I please speak? No. You have to, this man has to file a public hearing. You got to file a public hearing, sir. You have to speak the truth. Or you gonna, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be judged by you. We already sent the truth to a lawyer named Brian Stevens, and he turned out to be a bona fide coward. He turned out to be a coward. He bitched out and he didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? But this is why we die. We die because of people like you, black Negro lawyers. You have to say Negro because this is what a sacred word that we know in our history of what, Negro means Indian. Understand? Gingerbread colored outlaw, whatever you want to call yourself. He's supposed to say to the lawyer, make a public announcement that we discovered something. We discovered that we're indigenous and that the people who are in office stole our lands based on the treaties that you people broken. Do you understand? The treaties that's been broken. This is why we are forced to pay rent on our own land. This is why you have mothers going to work when they just have babies and they got to go off to work to pay what? To pay what? To pay rent, to pay mortgage, to rent to live on our own land. You're not supposed to force anybody to pay rent. The people that locked up Larry Hoover and dipped in his business locked him up because we are the original gods of this earth. And they know that. That's the truth. They are the criminals that chase and hunt us down and lock us up. This lawyer have to stand up and just say it. If you don't say it, then how are they supposed to know that they're guilty of a crime? How are they supposed to know? You're supposed to present Larry Hoover in a public court of law to where the judgment is that the warden and Larry Hoover have to talk and have to hand. He got the warden have to hand over the deed and the keys to Larry Hoover. The apartment manager here she got to hand over the deed and keys to me, so because I own 640 acres of my land, and whatever I'm at, you have to accommodate me to where I'm at. So if Larry Hoover's in Colorado prison, they got to hand him the deed and the keys because that's his land, that's his prison. The people that he's right where he's supposed to be because he was never in prison. He was always free. We were always free. We're just talking differently. We're talking as a humble fucking slave is how we're talking. It's why we entrap ourselves because we're talking like a slave. We have to speak the truth when you talk to these people. If you get pulled over, you be like, what the fuck you pulled me over for? Well, you got a broken tail light. I don't give a fuck about a broken tail light. What the fuck you want? Look, this is my land. And you are not, and this is what you really have to say. You got to don't tell about yourself. You tell them what they are. You are a criminal. You came here on some Paul Revere shit. This is not your land. This is why I say, continue to send the poster magazines to everybody. The man I just showed you, to the television station network, because they have to understand what the positions are in this world. You got to understand what your positions are. Every single Negro race is a state owner. So whatever state you in, you own that state. You own the state. You're a state owner, technically. Technically. You have to tell the truth. And the reason why we're dying is because we're not speaking the truth. We're not standing on our truth. You don't need no documentation, paperwork. But you have to have it just in case they ask for it. Bitch, here it is here. Now it's just a fight now. So what has to happen is and this is what I did. I did some research. And I was notified to do a screenplay. So I sent my screenplay over to people that want me to make a television station network. A major motion picture film. So I had got at them because they got at me. And so it was people from Canada. Remember I told you I got in touch with the people from Canada. Okay, so I put the film treatment there so that we could have this television station network, but not only that, but to have this movie out. The movie have to show exactly what is going on. It has to, everybody gotta see this movie, because once you put it in the mind of everybody and let everybody see who's who, then it'll be easy for everybody. But now while this is going on, it has to be a public announcement for an open trial for Larry Hoover. It has to be where, now the television station network would be about, of course, us crossing over to the promised land. But in order to cross over to the promised land, you have to point out who's who. Who's stopping you from getting to the promised land? Who would deny you of a business application to get you funding? I've been denied since 2007 to get because I have my patent. I patented the Jetsons. Look at my video. The Jetsons is an RV motorhome, top of the line RV motorhome coach for each and every person to have, for them to travel, to learn their identity in their 13 acres in each state. So not 13 acres, 13 promised land communities in each state where you can travel in your Jetsons, in which in 2 years it will be able to fly like a jet, because that's what it is, it's a jet, and then sail in the sea like a submarine, because that's what it is. And so I patented, that's why it's a patent. It's not just a regular RV. It's an RV that flies just like the Jetsons, because that's what we have to have. We have to have transportation that can go in the sea. If we have any flooding issues, we won't have that anymore, because you can travel in the water. And then it can fly like a jet. So in 2 years, it'll do that, because I have patented that way. I have the coordinates to that, and it's by the USDA Trade Commission. And they've been denying me of funding to get this off the ground. That's why I'm making these videos. That's why I'm trying to get a hold of the right attorneys that can understand that you have to speak the truth when you talk. Every time you open your mouth, it's got to be different. You got to flip it on them because they flipped it on you. When they call you a criminal, you have to say, no, I'm not a criminal. You're the criminal. How am I the criminal? Because you're not indigenous to these lands, and you came here as a criminal. On Paul Revere's bloodline, your forefathers were supposed to have been executed and murdered right here. Okay? So you're not supposed to even be here, let alone in office. You're supposed to speak like that because it's the absolute truth. You cannot lie. I'm talking to a lawyer. You have to get your people together. And what I'm going to do is, please, I'm just continue to send out the poster magazines of the rules and regulations of the Promised Land, because this has to be publicly and nationally known that Larry Hoover, the reason why there is a Yummy, there's a little kid named Yummy who did some deeds. He did a murder, but he's little. What you doing? Because his circumstances, was that way. Now, why was his circumstances that way? Because they locked up Larry Hoover and King David and King Solomon and all of them. They locked up all the 12 disciples, you understand? The same people in the Bible is the same people of the Larry Hoover story. You know, because I have I have an older brother and another brother. Well, I have three brothers, but my other brother linked up with the 12 disciples in Michigan. We didn't even know that there was such thing as a disciples, vice lords, and all that in Chicago. We didn't know that because I was born in Chicago, but but my father was like saying, "Ooh, this is gonna be a rough area because I'm here, Suge is here, so we have to move her across the lake, cross Great Lakes, and go to Grand Rapids, Michigan, which they raised me there. So I was raised in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, to so I could be safe. But I was born in Chicago, so that's where I'm indigenous to, and that's where you have to look at things. Wherever you're born to, that's where you're indigenous to. You can go to Ancestry.com, not the DNA. Just go on to Ancestry, pay that little $20 fee just to print out your family tree. That's it. You just want to print out your family tree that's linked to the Darus. Now, when I say Darus, I mean like the Civil Indian Wars. It'll link you to that because the Darus is also have the Moors in there who fucked us up, who messed us up. The Moors messed us up. They brought these criminal white people over here that was supposed to have been executed. They were supposed to have been executed by the British by the British black Moors. So, but they were the lookout, right? And they overcame their slave masters, took them over and went in with them when they stole our golden resources. That's NATO and the UN and the United Nations, and there was another one, the UN, the EU. The EU went in with NATO, which is the white criminals here, European criminals here that are in office. They were supposed to have been murdered, right? But they went in when they found that there's gold and silver that we have. They stole our